it's out there and people can know who is Rose Simon Schwartz, Simon Schwartz. So I want to know if it's possible. I don't know how you can encapsulate such a hectic life like yours in a small sentence, but let me know who is, who is Simon? I mean, who is Rose, and what kind of like a background, family, where you came from, and when you moved to Montreal, if you were born here, or if stuff like that. We would like to know.
Sure. I was born in Egypt, in Cairo, Egypt. And
Wow.
From a Greek father and a Syrian mother.
Wow.
So we were Greek. We had the Greek passport until we became Canadian. We came to Canada in 1963.
The day when I was born.
Really?
The year I was born.
So okay. I am X years older than
you. Very little.
Well, yeah. I was a small child at the time, so that's not a problem.
There you go.
I was a small child. I went to elementary school here and high school, and then I went to university. I did all my studies here in Montreal. So this is basically, I have a brother.
Yes.
I'm now married and I have a daughter.
Oh, beautiful. And let me ask you a quick question. What did you study?
I graduated from Concordia in psychology and education.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. And you said you have a daughter, and does she live here?
Yes, I have a daughter. She lives here. Her name is Michelle. She's an interior designer.
Oh, wow. Great.
Yeah. And she's got an online business as well. She's like her mom. She likes to do she always likes to keep busy.
I'm sure. And it's a very competitive and very hectic life, like designer. You have to be there all the time and run and everything.
Absolutely. So this is basically my background.
That's amazing. And now, so you married Jacques, right? Is your husband?
Yeah.
And
that's right.
And how did you meet Jacques?
I met Jacques. We were introduced.
Okay.
My mother calls me one day, and she says to me, so and so, a friend of the family, has a very nice man for you. At the time, I was going out with someone. I had a boyfriend, and I wasn't really interested.
Yeah.
But a few weeks after that, we broke up, my boyfriend and I. So I called my mother, and I said, call so and so. Let me see what happens. The rest is history.
So it's beautiful.
The most amazing thing is that we met first time on June 1st. And we were married November 30th of that same year.
Wow.
At Rosh Hashanah, we were engaged.
Love at first sight. That's almost love at first sight.
Yeah. So it's one of a kind, I think, because it was just so quick, and we knew exactly what we wanted. Wow. I was in my early 20s. He was older than me a little bit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. We knew what we wanted.
That is so beautiful. And you got married where?
We got married here. We got married in Montreal.
Yeah.
And the rabbi who married us was Rabbi Frank.
Solomon Frank. Rabbi Solomon. Yeah. Love that guy. I used to love that man.
He was amazing. He was just an amazing
The biggest feat ever.
Well, let me tell you a very, very quick story. Before we got married, a friend of mine who had been married by him also said to me, Rose, before the ceremony, look at his feet, because you're going to laugh. So instead of laughing during the ceremony, laugh before.
Laugh before so you don't see it. You know what? I remember being on the bima itself with Rabbi Frank, because I was a little boy. But Rabbi Frank was there, and I started at the Spanish Portuguese as a Chazan Sheni and everything. And Rabbi Frank, Rabbi Joseph was there, and Rabbi Frank used to bless me on Friday night. When He used to put his big hands on my head, and I used to watch his feet. I said to myself, wow, what a guy. I
I know
remember
this
those days.
was, yeah, this was a feature that was really
Wow.
outstanding at
So that's
Rabbi.
great. What a gentleman. He was a beautiful soul. And one day we'll talk about him. Of course, we have so much to
Yeah.
talk about. But then how did you get what's your first introduction to the Spanish and Portuguese synagogue?
My first official introduction, because before that, my father used to go to the Spanish and Portuguese. He would go there every Shabbat. We got married by Rabbi Frank. I never belonged to the synagogue before.
Right.
I used to go, before that, I used to go with my parents to another synagogue led by an Egyptian rabbi. But my first real introduction was in 2008, February 2008. My mother passed away. And I wanted Rabbi Joseph, but Rabbi Joseph wasn't available, so Rabbi Orenstein came.
Okay.
And I had such a good, warm feeling from him. And so I decided to go. So I would go for every day and then every Shabbat for my mother.
Oh, wow.
2 months after that, my father passed away.
Oh, my
2
God.
months
So
after.
short. Wow.
Yeah. And again, I had contact with the synagogue
Mm-hmm.
during my mourning period. And I got so used to coming on Shabbat. I had this feeling, I was overtaken by this feeling of peace when I was there. I was concentrating. I forgot about my problems. I forgot about all my sadness.
Like a haven, eh? It was like a haven.
Exactly. And then I continued on coming every Shabbat, and it just became such a habit. And that's how
Yeah, and that's how you got, it's incredible that some people, it takes a moment, either a critical moment, happy occasion, but most of the time it's when it's a powerful and a needy moment, when you need this moment and you have community, then you go and find this place that
That's
gives you
right.
comfort, and it becomes
Exactly.
so because of that, I mean, when I first came to the Spanish, I mean the second time around, like now, you're very prominent there because you're doing a lot of stuff. You're always involved, and especially lately we're talking about this worldwide symposiums and of the Spanish and Portuguese congregations around the world. And there was a Nassau or Nakao,
Yeah.
the conference, and you were very much involved, and you were the one who was instigating, like, let's do it, let's get on with it. And we were ready to go in big numbers, right?
That's
Unfortunately, of course, COVID came along, and then we got sidetracked. But how do you get involved in all of these things? Do you go out and look for them, or do they just happen to fall on your lap? Boom.
Well, how it started is there were a couple of people who I guess saw who I am, because I'm
Yeah.
a person who likes to get involved.
Correct.
I like to get involved.
Yes.
And they asked if I wanted to be on the board. So I started by being on the board, and then I was on the executive.
Yes.
And when I was on the board, I was asked if I wanted to chair some committees, and I said sure. So I became chairperson of the education committee.
Right. Correct.
So I was chairperson of the education committee maybe for about 8 years. And then I was also chairperson of the community affairs committee. So all of this, were various ways that I got in to have either lectures or classes or courses. It was either during the committee meeting where we would decide, let's have this one and this one. It was through contacts. I because I was in charge of the community affairs, I reached out to different communities, to different Jewish organizations in Montreal. So that was, for example, the Tel Aviv University, there was the Jewish Public Library. So then eventually people knew me and they would come to me and say, let's do joint events.
They just wanted to, you were a sounding board really for a lot of these things, right?
Yeah, that's right. So this is how we had lectures, we had classes, we had courses, we had invited guests from abroad, locally.
Beautiful.
And I'd always try to have parts religious and parts secular to really offer something for everybody 100%. In the community.
Yeah, if you do only one, I think you turn off the other part. So by doing both, the secular and the holy, and then you put them together sometimes, and what a great combination.
That's right.
I remember a series when I was here at the Spanish the first time, the Kortner series, I think it was called.
Yes.
Where you had like lectures and all that kind of stuff,
Right. We used it's a fund that we have. We used part of those funds to have a couple of series. One of the series was the psychology of happiness.
Wow, that's
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Can you bring it back?
Pardon?
Can you bring it back and do it again?
We could, because it was a series that was given by a university in Israel. I'm trying to remember. I know the person who was presenting it was Tal Shachar. I'm sure you've heard him. He has very interesting series.
Well, this is kind of stuff that I'm sure that our viewers and everybody else would love to actually see and to experience, because I think that, the way I see it, the times have changed and the demographics have changed of the Spanish and Portuguese, right? I mean, there were their heydays, and everybody, every synagogue has the high moments and the low moments. What kind of moment do you think the Spanish is experiencing now? What's your
it was a very, very high moment in 2018 when we were celebrating the 350th.
250th, yeah.
250th, sorry.
That
was
350 soon.
That's right. Exactly. That was really, we were on top of the world. We were everywhere. We were in the news media. People heard us. We had lectures. People would come to synagogue. So that was a really very, very high point at the synagogue. And then, let's be very honest. Most synagogues are struggling because there are less and less people, younger people who are attracted to synagogues. So we have to.
And do we know the reason why? Do we know the reason why this is I mean, nobody really knows exactly the reason per se, but why the Spanish has experienced maybe some of that, lag a little bit.
I think because we have not evolved fast enough to face the 21st century.
Wow.
I think we haven't kept with certain trends. Younger people need to be catered to. They need to look for something that will bring them something as well.
Inspire them and everything. Absolutely.
That will inspire them. Mm-hmm. And we're not unique. Like I said before, the Spanish is not unique.
Absolutely.
But I do believe that things are starting to change. We are attracting more younger couples, younger people.
Yeah.
And
I've noticed
one thing that we haven't reached out to them. We haven't really tried hard enough to bring them by.
It's a full-time job, Rose. I mean, it's a full-time job really to get out there and meet them, because it's not like by saying our doors are open, come and meet us. It's more like you got to go out there and talk to each one individually and say, this is who we are. You have to become friends with the clergy and with the community, with the people that are there. And when they feel more comfortable, a lot of the times I know people that go to other synagogues just because their friends are there, not because
Right.
they love the synagogue per se, right? They go because they know people. And I think it's called relational Judaism.
That's right.
All relational. I mean, if everybody started and I think we have to acquire this taste of making sure that when people come into the synagogue, to our congregation, they already feel welcome, because we're a very warm community. But we have to go the extra mile.
Exactly.
Right?
And we have to attract them also by things other than services.
Of course.
Because, we're so proud to say, and we kept on repeating it during the celebrations on the 250th, that we're not only a house of worship, we are a community center.
Beautiful.
And we have to believe it. We have to really believe it and go get them, have all kinds of activities.
Correct.
Make this a buzz, make a lot of noise, get them in.
Yeah.
And then when they come in, they'll feel good because they know already the walls, they know the people, they know the clergy. And then they will feel more comfortable in
That's amazing.
joining us.
I think we're on the same wavelength, because I think that, I see you as an intellectual, and someone who someone who's rich in culture, who likes culture, who likes, to different communities and different, and try to bring people together. And I think it's very, very important. I think it's some people like you that would probably be so instrumental in forming and probably molding the new generation. And how I think it's teamwork with yourself, with committees, with ourselves, with the clergy. I think that there is hope to bring a lot of the young people who don't know where to go, and they're sitting on the fence right now. They're not sworn into either a synagogue here or there. I think we have something to sell, and our product is we are the oldest Sephardic community in Quebec. And we are
in
open.
Canada.
In Canada, it's even better. When I said Quebec, I'm not voting yes or no. I'm careful.
Not asking.
Not asking. But it's interesting to see all that, and I think that you have shakers and builders, people that are shakers and the movers and everything. And I think it's our time to do these things and attract people. Someone like your daughter, would she be attracted to come to a Spanish or Portuguese synagogue, really, and get involved? Or is it something, it's a hard sell? She has her own life, she's busy, she does her thing. And, listen, I can tell you very frankly, my kids, come on, I have to push them. Let's go to the synagogue, let's get involved, do this, do that. You find it's a bit more challenging?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah, it is more challenging.
And
I said she has seen over the last 10 years how much I was involved and how much I put in. And the love I have for my Spanish community. I mean, for me, it's a big family.
Wow.
I get a reward. I get a feel good type of thing when I'm with the people at the Spanish. But yet, it is more difficult because she has her own little life, and
it's a bit more difficult. I know that. Miriam now is doing the cooking demonstrations every week and all that. Like you said, if it's everything is religiously content, some people are like a bit, this is not my cup of tea for now, but you throw them off by saying, wait, we have cooking. And it's not a religious cooking, it's just like Moroccan cooking or, Oriental cooking, it's all kinds of different cooking. So
Right.
then you get to attract them there. And then
Right.
you offer them to come to Shabbat. And then after Shabbat, we're not trying to lure them. We're just trying to make it a very natural.
Absolutely. This is why I felt very, very strongly that all the young adult activities had to be open to the community at large.
Correct.
And we had to, I don't know how much they did of the marketing, but there should be a lot of marketing outside of the synagogue to be done. Come and join us one evening. We had Arabic classes. And the young adults chose Arabic classes, and it was, very, very successful.
Wow.
But it was only people from our synagogue. How about bringing people from
No,
the
yeah,
outside?
because if you get only people from the synagogue, then people are going to just say, well, this is only for this clan. And you don't want to do that. You want to,
that's
you
right.
want to open up.
That's right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
This is exciting
And also, for example, let's say for us, for our members, the classes would be free. And if you're not a member, you come from the outside, there is a little token.
Yeah.
So at least if they do become members, they see that there is a reason why they're members, and there's a perk. Exactly.
Yeah, the perk of being a member, 100%, 100%. One last question. I mean, I can talk to you for like hours. You're very interesting. You're very intellect. I like to talk to you because there's a lot of things that we can, think about and strategize to make it a bigger and better synagogue. In every synagogue deserves that. The question is, the COVID-19 really hit hard, not only psychologically for a lot of people, because they have to stay home, the depression, difficulties in trying to live an ordinary life. But it hit hard in the synagogue because, rentals have, people didn't do any weddings anymore for a while, no bar mitzvahs, no rentals. But even harder now is we lack the services. We haven't been in services. We do a lot of Zoom one, right?
Sure.
Mornings and evenings,
Sure.
but we don't do regular services at the synagogue with people. And do you think that the trend, and how Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is coming up, and also that's another big dilemma. Do you think that people now are going to be a little bit more lax and say, well, you know what, I don't mind being on the webcam because it's easier. I don't have to be, with people, and this whole thing is still in my mind. Do you think it's going to affect the synagogue, in the future?
You know what? I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. People who come regularly.
Yeah.
Eh?
You believe it's
Pardon?
all going to come back?
It will no, it will not come back like before. It's a new reality. We have to face a new reality.
Correct.
It's not going to come back like before. But I see it as a combination of both virtual and physical. We need the physical. We need to see each other. We need to talk with each other. We need to pray together. We need to see the Sefer Torah.
Yeah.
But also for those of us who cannot necessarily go regularly, you have it on, you have virtual. So it's really, if we can keep both, of course not on Shabbat, not during holidays, but if we can keep both, I think that will be a new reality.
Well, I want to let you know that your wishes are done. You know why? Because as of I think a couple of weeks from now, and maybe in a week or two, they're going to be placing cameras in the sanctuary, in both the chapel and the main sanctuary, for every not Shabbat, of course, but every day service, every morning service and evening service will be on Zoom, and
Amazing.
people can log on, and we're still going to do the Kaddish and everything, and you will be able, from the comfort of your own home, participate in the
Amazing.
services. So you see, you're thinking about it and you're thinking ahead, but
Yeah.
we're going to be doing it. So
that is terrific. It's very good news.
yeah, that's
because
that's are the next steps, and I know that the executive and the board are now trying to implement it, and we are going to put the cameras, and we're going to, of course, respect the Orthodox way of not doing it on Shabbat and on the holidays, but every other day. And if there's a bar mitzvah during the week or whatever in the main sanctuary, we're going to, if the family wants it to be for a family in France and in Israel, they'll be able to Zoom in. So
amazing. This is
out of this whole thing, something good came out, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? One has to believe in this.
Amen.
In every bad thing, there is always good that comes out. You have to look for it very often.
So
you have to look very hard.
Absolutely, but you find it. You'll find it.
But you find it. Exactly.
Rose, I have to tell you, it was a pleasure, a real pleasure speaking with you, and not only speaking with you, but giving us a little bit of your thoughts about the future of the synagogue, the future of Jewry in Montreal, and your connection, and your being a key player in many of the things that happen in the synagogue and in this community. So we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and really see the next steps. We're all going to be together, and we're all going to sing. And I will refuah shelema for your husband. May he find the most beautiful healing process that God is going to give him, and then everything will be okay. Because you're a tremendous lady, not only at the doing at the synagogue and everything, but you have your home, you have your husband, you have your daughter, you have your own cocoon, and it's a lot of work to do all this.
But I want to tell you that I have retired from my work at synagogue in the last couple of years. I'm taking a break.
But you know what? The amazing thing is, when you see someone retire, but you can still see them work and listen to them buzz around synagogue and doing things and implementing, that means you can never really retire. You're retired, but you're still there.
You're right. You're right.
Thank you so much, Rose.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for giving me that opportunity.
God bless you. God bless you.